All right, all right. We are live. Going to let it breathe just for a moment here. Get everybody under the same roof, and then we're going to fire things off. Really excited to talk to everybody on this Labor Day. We're good. So, welcome in, everybody. It is the Mile High Huddle podcast. I'm your host, Chad Jensen, and with me is my fellow football priest. You know him, you love him. Fresh off an episode of Holding It Down Solo, Zack Kelberman. Zack, you just had an article that's barely published. I'm sure some of you have read it, but the Denver Broncos signed a former chief linebacker. Tell everybody about this cat. What's going on?
First of all, good to have you back, Chad. All the Infinity Stones are collected, and the
That's
podcast
right.
is how it should be. Ben Neiman was the linebacker the Broncos signed over the weekend. They signed him to the practice squad. You might remember his name because he played 4 years in Kansas City. He had multiple starts there, 79 games of NFL experience. He was with VJ in Arizona last season, so that's where the connection comes in. But very smart, heady player. Who VJ talked up a lot last November. I have it in the article. VJ said he makes plays when they come to him. He's a very clear communicator. He's pretty good in coverage too. So to get this guy, 28 years old, 21 starts in his career on the practice squad, just in case there was injuries that befell that unit, I think was a pretty solid move by George Payton and company.
You know, you don't. It sounds kind of like an impotent compliment to say he makes plays when they come to him or whatever, but that's a strong compliment. I mean, in the league, doesn't matter what profession actually of sports, you need the guys that are going to make the plays when they're there, right? The guys that you can count on to make those plays and execute when those moments come, even if it's just setting the edge, wrapping a guy up, consistent, a guy, in other words, that coaches can rely on.
Absolutely, yeah. And another guy, along with Zach Allen, who was with VJ in Arizona, another guy that can help the players learn the defense or kind of can provide some insight into VJ's scheme or just help the Broncos preparation throughout the week. I really like this signing a lot, and him being good in coverage is just the added bonus.
I've actually, pardon me, I've actually been curious to see it because of your you just mentioned Allen, and then your article of Marvin Mims changing his jersey number. In case you guys missed it, he's no longer number 83. He's rocking the Eddie Royal special, number 19. I've been curious to see if Zach Allen would rock his former 94, the number that he wanted originally after Aaron Patrick got the boot. But he still listed Zach as number 99 for what it's worth. I'm going to double check something. Yeah, number 99. So for whatever that's worth. Guys, we got Noah Thornberry jumping in with the super chat early. Thank you, bro. Way early. Thank you. Appreciate you. He says, always listen after the fact. First time catching y'all live.
Ooh.
Awesome, dude. He says, I got my tickets to the Jets Broncos. First game at Mile High all the way from Kansas City, Missouri. That's wild, dude. Good for you. That's going to be a sight to behold. If that, Zach, is your first ever experience at a Bronco game at Mile High in the home stadium, that's going to make for some crackling air. Like that's going to be a fiery game. I mean, just the fact that Nathaniel Hackett is the offensive coordinator, like that was enough to imbue this game with plenty of like additional energy. But then all the crap talking that has ensued since then, from Billy Turner Sean Payton, of course, saying what he said about Hackett, to Billy Turner saying, F you basically, and trying to dredge up the Bounty Gate stuff. Aaron Rodgers, keep my coach's name out of your mouth. It's going to be a juicy matchup.
It could be the game of the year. It could be a game that gets flexed in a prime time because, like you mentioned, all the storylines and the narratives are set in stone. So, Noah, great first game to pick for your Broncos experience, and hopefully we come away with a W that Sunday.
We got Little Clips Gaming in the house. What's going on? Good to see you. That's a newer name. Welcome. Appreciate you. Saying, good morning, Broncos country. Raider week. Let's buck 'em. Go Broncos. Yes. You know, this is a strong industry now, Zach, when it comes to content, is people that film themselves playing video games of whatever ilk. And then it sounds like maybe uploading clips and whatnot. Like there's some cheese to be made in that particular realm. So maybe you're one of those guys, Little Clips, and hopefully you're doing well, big dog.
A lot of cheese. Yeah, that YouTube gaming industry is absolutely massive, and it seems like maybe we have one on our hands here. But we appreciate the generosity and look forward to the Broncos ending that 6-game losing streak on Sunday against Las Vegas.
Dude, it still surprises me that people will sit and watch other people play video games as like entertainment, edification, whatever. Like even last night, we're at my family's cabin, pardon me, for the Labor Day weekend, having some fun out in the Rockies and splashing around in lakes and having a good old time. My son, though, my 15-year-old, not feeling so hot about lunchtime, so he kind of takes it easy the rest of the day. Walk in on him in the living room. He's just chilling on the couch, watching something. Always watching something on his phone too, by the way, for whatever it's worth. I glance over. He's watching someone else play a video game. Like it's a thing. Even though I don't understand it, the best way. Was it you, Scott, that said it this way? That somebody put it this way. You'll watch other people play football, right? You'll watch other people play, Broncos, Raiders. It's Raider week. Buck 'em. Let's go. What's the difference? And maybe, Zach, as we march farther into the metaverse, there is no difference.
I don't know. Maybe we're getting old and we grew up in different times. I don't understand. I'll tell you what, the mukbang videos, people eating and people watching other people eat just a gluttonous amount of food. I don't understand that. So I can get on board with gaming at a minimum.
Yeah, I don't get that one either. Or I don't know what what is that? What'd you call it?
I think it's a mukbang, whatever it's called. Like,
is that where they make like gross sounds with their mouths while they're eating and they have the mic like right up on their face while they're chewing?
I couldn't get through one, couldn't tell you. I think it's nasty, but I don't partake.
These industries that are popping up, it's like you never would have guessed there would have been a demand for that, but whatever. Mike, the Ronk in the house. What's up, bro? Appreciate you jumping in early, throwing some props up, some support. It wouldn't be a Mile High Huddle podcast without the Ronk ushering things in. So great to see you, Mike. Miguel, what's good, bro? He's saying, what's up, fellas? Hope we can stop Mad Max Crosby and Josh Jacobs this week. They always seem to have career games against the Broncos. So, yeah, this is the main gist of tonight's show, the way we titled it, which was Sean Payton in his conference call with Vegas media, talking about different things today. Two names he mentioned, Josh Jacobs, Max Crosby. Relative to Josh Jacobs, a quick catching everybody up to speed here. Sean Payton at one point seemed to quite clearly covet Josh Jacobs, but the Raiders said, no, we're going to franchise tag him. And he was not stoked on that. He was one of these running backs, Zach, that was like, no, pay me. I'm sick of this franchise business. Held out entirely, all camp, preseason, etc. They finally said, okay, here's a 1-year deal, $12 million. Will you accept that? Because it was a couple mil better than what he would have made on the franchise tag. That was like, if memory serves, 26th, 27th, maybe the 28th of August. Either way, he's barely back on the horse. Now, you got to assume that he's kept himself in football shape, but he hasn't been practicing, all that stuff. So Sean Payton, on the subject of Jacobs, was asked that, like, hey, what do you expect to see? What's your plan? Do you think they're going to give him a full helping, so to speak, right? Being that he's missed so much time on his holdout. And to quote Coach Payton, he said, quote, he certainly is one of the more dominant running backs in the NFL. So that's how we're going to approach the game. And then also basically we're not going to tailor our plan to the idea he might not play as much.
I know you were out yesterday, Chad, on the podcast, and I don't know if you caught it, but I gave 3 keys to victory for the Broncos in week 1. Number 1 was stopping Josh Jacobs. Number 2 was stopping Max Crosby. I mean, the game really starts and ends there for the Broncos. If they can contain those 2 players out of 50 plus, they'll have an excellent chance of coming away on top. I think Josh Jacobs is going to get a full complement of carries. I wouldn't be surprised if he gets 20, 25, 30 touches in this game because he is their entire offense. And what the Raiders don't want to do is have to lean on Jimmy G and make him beat Denver in Denver. It won't happen.
So what Coach Payton said about Crosby, for what it's worth, what makes him so difficult to stop, quote, he's really flexible. He's a tremendous worker, athletic. He's got one of those motors that doesn't stop, and he can get to your edge quickly. His ability to bend, then his stamina are things that stand out. Close quote. And I would definitely second that, Zach. But one thing we learned about Max Crosby, if you watch the Netflix special, miniseries, whatever, Quarterback, is that he also likes the game within the game, which is, the mind game of screwing with quarterbacks, trying to get in their head, which in the instance of this quarterback series, he did in one particular game. He definitely got into Patrick Mahomes' head to the point where, Mahomes, of course, got the last laugh. That's the way it goes more often than not with Mahomes, Zach, but got into his head to a point where, he kind of snapped a little after a big play and, maybe comported himself differently than he might otherwise. So he's a very savvy guy. All those things Peyton said, plus just like the between the ears stuff, he's formidable. Max Crosby.
He is a hell of a player. And I want to give a shout out to Nick Kosmider of The Athletic, because he had a pretty good statistic here, and a pretty sobering one as well for Broncos country. Nick said Max Crosby has 10 sacks in his last 6 games against the Broncos. For context, the Broncos haven't had a player record 10 sacks in an entire season since 2018. Yeah. Just to show you how bad the Broncos defense has been along the edges and how dominant of a pass rusher Max Crosby is, especially against the Broncos. I said yesterday, I'll say it again. I don't care if it's a double team, triple team, chip block, max protect. You got to do anything in your power and everything in your power to shut down. I think he's number 98.
It's Khalil Mack-esque in terms of like 100%. Just unbelievable. But here's the good thing. You talk about at the top of the show, we're talking about players who make the plays when they're there to be made. Sean Payton is a coach who is going to recognize, the holes in the boat when they're there to be seen. And one of those holes in the boat, obviously, when you go back and study Broncos Raiders head to head over the last few years, which no doubt the Payton staff has done in spades, Max Crosby jumps off like, okay, what's our plan for this guy? Because he could wreck the whole offensive plan. So you got to expect, and I think take some confidence in, Peyton's going to be ready for him. Now, that's not a cure-all. He's going to have his counters as well. He's going to do what he's going to do. He's such a great player. Be ready for it. But Zeus, what's up, dude? The first face etched in the MHH Mount Rushmore right here. Stoop McPeak jumping in with a super chat. Love you, bro. Good to see you. He's saying here, Zach, football week. That's right. We get the kickoff game Thursday night, Broncos on Sunday. Like, we're in the swing of things. It feels nice.
Yeah, we get a Lions win over Kansas City on Thursday to start the season off right, and then a Broncos victory against the Raiders on Sunday. But you're absolutely correct, Stu. It's finally football week. And I talked about it yesterday, Chad. I can't believe how fast the NFL calendar flies, even when it feels slow. Because this offseason has felt like it's taken 3 years, but we were just talking about Sean Payton's hire. Then we were talking draft. Then we were talking training camp. And now week 1 is upon us. So I'm definitely pumped.
Stu, so great to see you, brother. Phil, and by the way, guys, we're waiting to see. We're well over 200 in our live room right now. We wanted to do the super chat drawing tonight, but we weren't sure with it being Labor Day, people traveling, etc., if it would be the best decision to do it tonight, because we want as many of the people who are in the running to be in the room in case they win. So we're still waiting to see kind of what the live room grows to here in the next few minutes. If we don't do it tonight, we will definitely do it Thursday night, but we're probably going to do it tonight. So stay tuned for that. Phil, brother, down in Tucson, what's good? Appreciate the support as always, my friend. He says, hey, guys, anyone surprised the Broncos released Chris Allen? Hashtag Buckham, MHH for life. Zach, this was a guy, just to refresh for everybody, not to be too pedantic here, but undrafted rookie out of Alabama last year, redshirted his entire rookie year with an injury, a pickup from the former coaching regime. However, it was George Payton who was still running the front office last year. So there is that carryover. Didn't make the cut. Were you surprised?
It sucks because he came back from the foot, like you just talked about. He missed the entire season, and he was doing decently in training camp, decently in the first couple preseason games. And then in the finale against the Rams, he picked up a groin injury. Chris Allen did. And that obviously is fairly significant, and the Broncos didn't want to house him on IR for the year. So they've released him today with an injury settlement, and he'll be a free agent. But it seems like that book is open and shut on Chris. Unfortunately, he looked great at Alabama, and I thought the Broncos were getting a steal as a UDFA.
The Broncos have had a few guys like that because we get so excited about the next Shaq Barrett, right? These edge rushers who was that kid from Auburn just 2 or 3 years ago?
Oh,
Similar story. It'll come to
ooh.
me. Someone in the chat right now is like screaming into their phone. But Christopher Allen is similar to that. Big difference though being that you can't make the club from the tub, and when you already redshirted your rookie season, Zach, and you've got a new coaching perspective in town. Unfortunately, if you catch an injury about this time of year, you can't be surprised, considering his history, to be shown the door. It's unfortunate, but I'm feeling very, very optimistic for what it's worth of this Broncos edge rushing group
Mhm.
because, you've got some stability in the form of Frank Clark. You've still got what I view, Zach, as some untapped potential in the other veteran, Randy Gregory. Jonathan Cooper seems like he's turning a corner that could be very, very impressive. Might even be the starter opposite of Gregory. We'll see. Nick Bonito showed a lot this summer. Could end up finally cashing in a little bit on that draft pedigree as a second round pick. I mean, there, and then once you get Baron Browning back, all could be well if you get a little luck along the way with the injury bug. No one else, gets nicked for whatever it's worth. There's no like clear Von Miller. There's no clear even Bradley Chubb, although you might argue that Frank Clark's pretty good apples for apples. But I like, it's kind of like Vance Joseph said when he first got here, hey, this is the best edge rusher, uh, rush linebacker group I've had in a long time. I think there's some truth to that. I don't think that was hyperbole, and we just got to see it come out in the wash.
You took every single point I was going to make. All I want to do is add on that DVA has a great shout. It was Jeff Holland. I was trying to rack my brain. That is the kid that we were all hyped on. Never worked out. And you're right, Chad. The Chris Allen saga is playing out the same way.
I mean, even Malik Reed, who obviously had a lot more success than either of the two guys, Allen or Holland, but no one's quite been able to live up to the Shaq Barrett mantle, and makes sense. He's a rare player. Adrian, good to see you on Facebook. Appreciate the stars, my friend. We got also George Fox saying, thanks, guys, for all your insight on the team for all these months that we didn't have football, but it's now football season. Go Broncos, Denver Broncos for life. MHS for life. I think 10-7 this season. Hey, dude, we're hoping you're right in the pocket there. Yo, Denver Broncos for life, jumping in with a super chat as well, saying, go Broncos, watching the Duke Clemson and listening to the best. Awesome, dude. Well, we appreciate you staying with us while you're multitasking with your sports entertainment. So thank you, bro.
Appreciate you, yo.
All right, let's grab Michaela and FA Scott, and then we'll just do the drawing. We'll just do it. The Duchess jumping in. So good to see you. Hope everybody, you included, Michaela, has had a great Labor Day weekend. Hope you did some fun stuff. Everybody stayed safe. She says, hi, brothers and sisters in Orange. It's football week. Finally. That's right. It was fun, Zach, even though I wasn't able to do the show with you last night. Scheduling the stream. I would have done the show, but our cabin, it's not the greatest Wi-Fi. It's solid, but it's not really good enough to trust. But anyway, it was exciting for me to go, all right, titling this thing Raider Week. I'm like, whoa, yeah. Looking at the calendar, I'm like, yeah, it's freaking Raider Week. Let's go. I'm stoked.
Yeah, it wasn't like, PFF says this or NFL.com says that, or we weren't reaching for a topic to fill that dead period because, like the previous comment said, it's football season finally, and I'm so happy. And thank you, as always, Michaela.
And then we got FA also. So good to see you tonight, big dog.
Wow.
Top rope super chat. Appreciate your generosity and support as always, my friend. You know this. He's saying, howdy, my people. The most wonderful time of year is here. Let's go. The Sean Payton era is about to begin. Can't wait. I'm feeling good about it, dude. Like I told you, preseason games might not count, but I do believe they matter. All right. And for him to, everybody wringing their hands, Zach, over the 0-2 start to the preseason, losing 2 road games, as it were, in the preseason. But when the most important game, the first home game in the stadium, front of the fans, not only does Sean Payton get the win, but he does it in dominant cruising fashion. And that tone that he set, that precedent that he set, I get it. It was second, third, fourth stringers. A lot of the guys who contributed to that big win, Zach, aren't even with the club anymore. But what does that tell you? If they contributed to a win of that magnitude and they're not even with the club, what are the guys who didn't play because they're first teamers or high second teamers? How are they going to contribute under a Sean Payton regime. So the era begins, the Payton era, as FA says here, it begins. And I think they've got a modest, I'm not going to overblow this, modest little boost of momentum from that preseason finale and his first kind of fans anyway being exposed to Sean Payton in the flesh for the first time.
Yeah, I mean, his first win, preseason or not, was a 41-0 drubbing, so that felt pretty good. FA, thank you so much. And since we're talking about the Raiders, Chad, I went over it last night. I didn't get your opinion, obviously. Michael wants to know who will score the Broncos' first touchdown, in your opinion.
Really good question. Really good question.
I picked Pookie for what it's worth.
That's what I would say, actually. It was Javonte Williams. But if you're picking Pookie, I'll throw another one out. And I'll say Russell Wilson rushing touchdown. How's that?
Ooh, like it.
We'll see. But let's do the drawing. You know, we're approaching 300 in the room across all the different platforms. I think we've got a good cross section of everybody who needs to be here. Now, just a quick refresher, guys. As you know, we used to do this literally as a, analog way, so to speak. Names in a hat, draw them out in front of you guys on live, show you, blah, blah. This is a smoother system. We take the top 10 finishers on Super Chat in the given month, all right? Top 10. Their names go in this digital hat, so to speak, and each name is weighted. So, in other words, David McElrath, who we love, isn't going to have the same number of tickets in this digital hat as Michaela, who finished at number 1. Michaela, as you can see, more weighted, et cetera, et cetera. So, as we go through and generate the order, the names that you're seeing come out first, those are the names who are eliminated from the drawing. It's the last name who ends up being the winner. So Scott, without further ado, let's see what we got here. All right. Ethan comes in number 10, the DWI guys. We love you, big dog. Appreciate you. Zeus McPeak is the 9th runner-up. Is that how you would 8th runner-up? I don't know how you'd say it. Appreciate you, Stu. The Duchess, what? At number 8. Okay. See, this is how random it is. Like, it's legit. Number 7 coming in. FA's out. Okay, we love you, FA. I know you're in the room. And he's got another super chat waiting too. FA, love you, big dog. Then we have Jasmine is out. Okay, Jasmine, no jersey this time. David McElrath out at number 5. Okay, we're narrowing it down. Number 4, the GLP, Gary Palmer, is out. Naj, out. Lady D, Deanna Hendry, out. So the winner of the August jersey giveaway for the Super Chat Superstars is none other than Troy Boer in the house, the Fond Donkey. Troy hasn't won. I don't think he's ever won, has he? I'm pretty sure he hasn't. That's a first time for Troy. Have you seen him in the room? I haven't seen him in the room yet, but congratulations to Troy, guys. We give this jersey away. It's a small thing it's a small way that we can give back and say thank you to our great supporters. And if your name was in that top 10 list, understand how much we love and appreciate you. We don't take you for granted. Like, it's so meaningful for us. All right. That anyone, if you give $1 to Mile High Huddle, we take that as a great responsibility. And we also, with great honor, we appreciate you doing that, and helps us keep the lights on, allows us to keep doing what we do. So without you guys, this content wouldn't be happening, Zach.
Yeah, if we can give away 10 jerseys every time, we would. I don't want to get the impression that some are more important than others. We value each and every single person who interacts with us. We mean that genuinely. Troy, very well deserved. Congratulations. Let us know what jersey you want, though. Can't wait to see it.
That's right. And everybody on the list and everybody within the sound of our voices right now, we want to see you at the meet and greet, because we'll have a little something when we see you there. Okay. We're going to come with some treats, with some goodies. So try to make it out. FA, again, bro, thank you. He says, I'm not afraid of Max Crosby. Sean Payton will run right at him. It's the best way to negate him. And I think we load the box against JJ. What do you think, Zach?
JJ?
I'm not sure what he's saying either. Maybe Josh McDaniels, Jimmy G. What's the latest on Jimmy G?
He's he overcame that foot injury. I think he's good to go, but it's between the eyeballs with Jimmy G that's the bigger issue. He wilts under pressure, he crumbles, and he's mistake prone. So if the Broncos defense, again, if they can load up the box against Josh Oh, Josh Jacobs.
Josh Jacobs.
How stupid am
Hello.
I?
Scott's going like this.
God. Anyway. Yeah, so if they can load the box against Josh Jacobs, JJ, whatever you want to call him, and force Jimmy G to beat you, then that's a good situation for the Broncos defense to be in, and their chances of winning that game go up exponentially. I agree, FA, and thank you so much.
That's funny that both yours and my mind goes to quarterback. We're going, wait a minute, JJ, huh? It's like, no, hello, we're talking about Crosby and Jacobs tonight. Let's go. FA, appreciate you, big dog. And you might be right on that. I think I think Sean Payton is going to obviously have a plan, and it's going to be one that perhaps Crosby least expects. We'll see. Steve, what's up, dude? Appreciate you, my friend. He says, Semper Fi again, boys. Appreciate you, dude. Says, I'm saying it. Marvin Mims gonna be the game changer. Let's go. Yeah, dude. I think Marvin Mims, for what it's worth, Steve, I think Marvin Mims ends up having a much bigger impact as a rookie than we would have anticipated when the Broncos first drafted him, traded up for what it's worth into the second round to pick him. So it's going to be fun wearing that Eddie Royal number 19. Also a second round pick. Also went on to produce nearly 1,000 yards his rookie year in 2008. So some nice precedent, some nice kind of football juju going for Marvin Mims in that respect.
I liked him a lot more in 83, but I don't really care that much. He's going to be counted on out of the gates because Tim Patrick, as we know, is out for the year. Jerry Jeudy should be highly questionable, if not doubtful, to play in week 1. So it might be where Mims starts opposite Cortland Sutton against the Raiders, and he's ready for it. He talked about it after the finale against the Rams when he made that long catch. He overcame the hamstring injuries. He feels good with the playbook. He feels a little more confident. You're going to see some big splash action from your rookie receiver this coming year.
Absolutely. By the way, I forgot to mention this. So Troy, when you see this, we're going to need you to send us an email with your, what jersey you want, your shipping address and size, of course, and we'll get that out to you. But one thing to remember on the jersey front is don't just go, yeah, I want this. Go to the Denver Broncos website, denverbroncos.com, click on their fan shop, and verify that the jersey in your size that you want is available before you tell us, because we've run into that a couple of times, unfortunately, where winner, all excited, we're excited to get that jersey out to them. They say, we want this. We go to get it, and it's not available. So just double check that for what it's worth, Troy, and we'll take care of you, my friend. All right. Let's see. We've got Mark. And by the way, Mark, we're going to be doing the Facebook drawing on Thursday, so stay tuned for that. Okay. He says, congrats to Troy. And Mark, by the way, is a recent jersey winner on the Facebook side of things. He's saying, congrats to Troy on the jersey win. Is it Sunday yet? I'm jonesing for this game to get here. Go Broncos, buck 'em. I know, man. We've been wandering the Bronco desert in more ways than one. And finally, we're getting some mana served up to us. Hopefully it's as magical as the real thing, Sean Payton. Let's go. Here's the Papa Bear, as he's known in his neck of the woods. David McElrath, great to see you tonight, bro. Appreciate you. Hope everything is, hope you're doing okay in the McElrath family. He's saying, good evening, Broncos country. Chad, Zach, Dylan, Deacon, Scott, hashtag 12-5 plus. Okay. Buckham times 3 with a B, YouTube. MHH for life, Denver Broncos for life. Man, 12-5. Denver and the fans just across the world, Zach, would have, as my in-laws like to say, they'd have a come apart if the Broncos win 12 games this year. Like, they'd freak out, in a good way, in the best sense. Like, it's been a long 7 years, dude.
You figure they would have as many wins as the last 2 seasons combined if they went 12-5. And that would be quite the turnaround for Sean Payton. At that point, Russell Wilson would probably be in the MVP conversation or comeback player, Sean Payton in the coach of the year conversation. I would absolutely be overjoyed, David, if they finished at that mark. That's my ceiling for Denver this year. I have my floor at 9-8. So anything in that range, I'd be happy with. But 12-5, whoa, boy.
Dude, you got to start with owning the division or taking care of your business in the division. And the Broncos have been, one of the many reasons for how bad the Broncos have been from an overall perspective is their inability to compete in the division. I mean, the fact that you're, what is it? I'm starting to lose count. My recall on this, 13 straight losses to the Chiefs, 6 straight losses to the Raiders, which is absolutely unconscionable. It's at least maybe not forgivable, Zach, understandable that you've lost 13 in a row to Patrick Mahomes and company, like, because they're the best. They've been the best over that span. So let's say from 2016 on, I guess he didn't really come into the picture till, end of 17, but I'm digressing a little bit. The Chiefs have been top 1, 2, or 3 teams in the NFL since Mahomes was inserted into the lineup late his rookie year. Okay. The Raiders, dude, with the exception of one playoff berth, still looking for that first playoff win since they went to the Super Bowl back in 02. Was it 02? 02. 02 Super Bowl against the Bucs. Still looking for that. But they've been a doormat, and they've owned the Broncos. Like, that has to end. Sean Payton strikes me as a guy that not only understands it all that well, but like even more so, he understands these divisional games, Zach. They, in many different ways, take precedent over everything else. Like, these are the games you gotta have. Win the games you're supposed to win. And even though the Broncos have lost 6 straight to the Raiders, they're at home. This is a game the Broncos are supposed to win. You better win this game. And I think they will.
The thing about Kansas City, that streak should never be at what it is now because they've had chances to beat them. I mean, look at the Demaryius Thomas game, for example, when he missed that. It was Case Keenum, was it not?
Yeah, Case Keenum. Yep. Wide, just a couple inches off, dude. Yep.
There was also the Matt Moore game when Patrick Mahomes went out and they still found a way to beat Denver. I mean, the Broncos have had their chances and they haven't come through. But you're right, with the Raiders, there is no excuse. It is disgusting to lose 6 straight, and 2 of which, by the way, or 1 of which was against Rich Bisaccia. It was one game?
No, both.
Both games.
No. Wait, now, yeah, they fired him right before their first
meeting.
That's right. So 0-2 to Bisaccia, 0-2 to Daniels McDaniels amongst those 6 straight. Like, it boggles the mind.
Makes it even more disgusting when you talk about it in those terms, but it has to end now. The Broncos are a better team on paper. They have the better coaching staff. They have the better quarterback. I don't care what anybody says. That is ending this Sunday, period.
Yeah, the rust shade is going to begin to diminish as soon as Sunday night. So, Phil saying my 4 breakout players this year: Brandon Johnson, Greg Dulcich, Jonathan Harris, and Jonathan Cooper. By the way, credit and props to you for catching the O in the second O in Jonathan Cooper's first name. A lot of people miss that. Nice. Well done, Phil. Who are your breakout candidates this year, Zach?
Damari Mathis is the first name that comes to mind. I think I'm higher on him than most other people, but he is a really solid cornerback too, who's going to do really well opposite PS2. Caden Stearns in that secondary, I think, is a breakout player if he gets that full-time role, as he should, opposite Simmons. And Jaleel McLaughlin, I hate to say it for a third-string running back, a undrafted rookie, but when the ball's in his hands, he is going to make electric plays happen. He is going to be this year's Phillip Lindsay for Denver, but better. Not a lot of people outside of Denver know McLaughlin's name, but most will know it after this coming season.
I am like super excited for Greg Dulcich. I think he is going to be that big pop player that no one outside of Denver saw coming. Brandon Johnson, I mean, hey, there's a chance you could be right on this because, I mean, 3 healthy wide receivers made the actual active roster, and he was one of them. Kind of late to the party, had some injuries in camp. But Sean Payton likes him. He's going to get utilized a lot. We just don't quite yet know, Zach, what the balance of, the offensive philosophical balance, what it's going to look like, because it seems like everything we've heard, everything we've seen from camp through preseason, that it is going to be, in a very Sean Payton way, though, a run-first kind of approach, at least in year 1, as he really works to get Russ back on the horse. So I'm not sure how many opportunities there are going to be for multiple, we'll call it pass catchers, to kind of break out in this offense year 1. But hey, Cortland Sutton's already had his breakout. Would you say Jerry Jeudy has had his breakout?
No, not yet. Close.
So
not yet.
he's a guy right there too. I mean, he might miss 2 games. I think they get him back week 2. We'll see.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to romp this year, guys. Rodney, did Drew Lock beat the Raiders in 2019? He did. His final start, his fifth start. Anyway, his final start rookie year. That was the last Raiders win, if I'm not mistaken, was that season finale that Drew Lock got the dub.
Yeah, Scott points out here they beat them 16-15. It was the finale in 2019. Locke went 17-28 for 177 and a touchdown, and that was part of that 4-1 run. Or was it 4-0 or 4-1?
4-1.
4-1. Yeah, that Locke went on under Rich Scangarello, and we all thought he was the next big thing. And the answer, and little did we know what would change in a calendar year.
If memory serves, that was also a game that it did take a miraculous one of those knack plays that Shelby Harris just had a knack. If memory serves, he had a knack play as Derek Carr final possession, fourth quarter driving, trying to get there. That was one of the things I always really loved and appreciated about Shelby's game in particular. Mark says, I think at worst we split each division game with KC and the Raiders, but damn, it would be nice if we swept them. Yes, it would. But, you know, a split with the Chiefs, I think is like, it's plausible. It could actually happen this year because you have the coaching firepower, the coaching wherewithal to contend. Not to say that this man's word is the end all be all, but Dick Vermeil, let's remember, the 2 best offensive minds of this, we'll call it the 21st century NFL. He said Andy Reid, Sean Payton, and they're going to be squaring off, Zach, twice a year. It's going to be dope. So, and the Raiders, I'm sorry, the Raiders are not that good of a team, period. Like, especially with the instability at quarterback and the changes there. And I think Jimmy G to shine really needs, aside from the obvious, good offensive line, complimentary, solid run game, which he'll probably get with Josh Jacobs, the reigning rushing champ. But I think, Zach, is going to show that, hey, I need that next level offensive mind coaching me in order to thrive the way you've seen me thrive in San Francisco. And I'm not convinced, and I'm trying to be objective as I can with Josh McDaniels. I'm not convinced he's that guy, even though Josh McDaniels, part of the regime that was there when the Patriots drafted Jimmy G, part of the regime that kind of propped him up, and he had a couple of good games when Tom Brady was hurt and was able to maximize the value to trade him away. I'll believe it when I see it. Let me just put it that way.
Same. I am not a big believer in Jimmy G at all, and I think he's going to be the reason why the Broncos beat the Raiders. He's going to just melt down like he usually does, and I don't know about sweeping Kansas City. I agree with Todd in the comments who says it's a little unrealistic, but if the Broncos are as good as we think they are, they can absolutely turn the tables and sweep Vegas this year and really end that bad juju.
Amen. Ted, the Wonderlick in the house, saying, and with a super chat, thank you, Ted. Yes, we've been swept by 3 different head coaches in 3 years. I hate it. That makes us 4-26 against KC and the Raiders in our last 30. Time to change it, man. I remember, one of the nice things that the Broncos PR department does for media is they send us out an end of season kind of capsule. You guys know those game capsules we show you on the head-to-heads on Thursday nights, which we'll be doing. We'll be debuting that for the first time this year on Thursday. So similar to that, they send this end of season kind of everything in one bucket, historical distinctions, records, this and that, players, blah, blah, blah. It's really cool. It's a nice resource for us for writing stories and this and that, making videos, doing podcasts, all that stuff. I used to love getting those and seeing just where the Broncos stood all time in the AFC West with 15. Is it 15 off memory? I'm pretty sure. Like in the immediate Zach aftermath of Peyton Manning riding off into the sunset, the Broncos had the most division crowns in the division by a stretch, like 15 to something. I haven't even looked at it the last couple of years because I don't want to see it. Like the Chiefs have narrowed that gap to where all time they're up there in terms of the most division titles. I might pull it up now just to satisfy and remind my curiosity, but It's time to get this back in balance, dude. This is, I mean, this is a great illustration of just how out of whack it's been in Denver since, Super Bowl 50.
Since a while. I mean, going back to the last 30, that would be 15 years ago, if my math holds up. It's a long-standing issue with the Broncos and facing these divisional opponents. They seem to have better luck against the Chargers, but that's not going to really count for much. You got to be able to take care, like you were talking about earlier, Chad, take care of your business in the West. Ideally, you want to split with Kansas City and preferably sweep the Raiders, but you got to at least put some wins on the board and end that sorry streak.
All right, at the risk of creating a technical difficulty, let's see if we can find this together real quick. This is the 2022 season in review. Okay, Broncos ranked second in Super Bowl appearances. Let me blow this up if I can a little. One more. Nope, that's as big as it'll go. Okay. So Broncos ranked second. Go away. What are you? You go away. No, that's not what I wanted to do. Stand by. Hold on. Hang with me, y'all. Coming right back to it. You can see it on the screen, yes?
Yeah.
I'm off. So let me go like this. I won't ever be able to. Nope, too much. We'll go down. No, not search. We'll go 125. Okay. And if I do this, sorry guys, I should have thought ahead on this. Hang tight. It'll be worth it, I promise. Okay, good enough. This is where I wanted to be. So let me scroll down here. No. Yes, down lower here. So the Broncos, as of the end of the 2022 season, second in Super Bowl appearances, all right, all time with 8, tied with a couple other teams, as you can see there. All right, let me find the division. Still owns the most AFC West crowns. Okay, Broncos, 15 AFC West crowns, Kansas City, 13. So it's time to start, Zach, creating a little distance in that. All right. The Chiefs all time. So the Broncos all time, for those just listening, 15 all time AFC West titles. Chiefs, 13 all time. Raiders, 12. Chargers, 10. And then for those who really know their history, the Seattle Seahawks own 2 of them from back in the day. So there you have it. The Broncos still edging them out. Phil, Saints are 5-7 against the Chiefs. Pretty sure Peyton's ready for them. Nice. Thank you for that little piece of research. Because I actually had an idea to do a story on this subject pending some research. So very nice distinction there. Thank you, bud.
Peyton knows how to match fire with fire. If there's a comparable offensive mind in the NFL to Andy Reid, historically it's been Sean Payton. And you got to match points with a Kansas City-led team with Patrick Mahomes. You're not going to hold them to a 9-6 game. You're not going to beat them by a field goal. They're going to score touchdowns, and you have to be capable of scoring touchdowns as well. They weren't capable in the last 15 games against Kansas City. Hopefully that changes under Sean Payton.
Guys, we're about out of time, so any burning topics, get them in the chat, and we shall do our best to get to them before we dip on out of here. Mike, the Ronk saying, Jaleel McLaughlin will be the X factor for the Broncos. It's interesting. I don't, Chad Jensen circa 2017 would say, come on now, Mike. We're talking about an undrafted rookie, third on the depth chart. No longer do I think that way. I can't after Philip Lindsay as an undrafted rookie, game 1. Wasn't anywhere close to being the starter. Was technically behind 2 guys, just like McLaughlin is right now. Had, if memory serves, 100 yards from scrimmage, and at least he scored a touchdown, which was a receiving touchdown that year. Season opener, victory over Russell Wilson and the Seattle Seahawks 2018. The final VJ season. So perhaps Jaleel McLaughlin will be Denver's X Factor on Sunday.
I was told that Philip Lindsay couldn't catch, though. Kind of weird that he'd have a receiving score. But yeah, I mean, the same kind of player, I think, but better. He just holds up to the modern day NFL more so than Philip Lindsay did. He'll be just a spark plug that the Broncos don't have. What makes him so intriguing is he does things that no one on the offense can do. And especially since KJ Hamler was lost, Jalen Virgil was lost. And what I mean by that is speed. Home run hitting, playmaking ability. Javonte Williams can't do that. Samaje Perine can't do that. Jaleel McLaughlin can. He's going to be, I agree with you, Ronk. He's going to be the X factor. And a lot of outside fans outside of Denver will know of his name by this winter.
Pearl, hey, we're still sending you the good vibes, the thoughts, the prayers. Hang in there. You are a warrior. So thank you for being with us tonight. Appreciate the kind words. Mike as well. Appreciate you, big dog. The Ronk also contributing to the conversation. Zach, let's grab this. It's not a super chat, but let's grab it from Dr. Van Nostrand. Who's going to be returning kicks and punts, you think, Zach?
Well, since Tremont Smith somehow made the 53, I would venture to guess that he'll be the kick returner, and the punt returner, I would assume, healthy, would be Marvin Mims.
Yeah, I'm going to see if they've updated this depth chart. Nope. Albert Okwuegbunam is still on the depth chart, so not updated, but man, I would say don't put Mims back there on punts because you're going to need him, but you don't really have anyone else. I wouldn't trust Tremont Smith returning punts. You want to throw him back there as a kick returner, that's one thing, and you don't want PS2, who they trotted out a few times during training camp as kind of an emergency returner, punt returner. Montrell's gone. I mean, who else is there? Jaleel McLaughlin? I mean, so yeah, that's probably how it's going to be.
Yeah, under any circumstance do I not want PS2 taking punts. I would rather them just call a fair catch with anyone than risk PS2 to injury. And I would say the same for Marvin Mims. He had the hamstring issues, dual hamstring issues, but that's why you drafted him, Chad. That's why you traded up for him, to take advantage of his playmaking ability, his explosiveness, and that'll come out on special teams.
Todd Ostendorf says, pardon me, what I am most excited about is the in-game adjustments from Payton. His in-game adjustments are elite, and that will make a difference. Yeah, and that's another thing that everybody's got to remember when you think back to the preseason. And, you know, a lot of Broncos fans a little bit worried. They weren't hyper impressed with what they were seeing from Payton's offense. Even when the ones were on the field, it's like, hey, he's not showing you his hand. He's not going to put his full hand on film for everybody to see. They didn't really even game. They game plan in a sense, but they don't game plan for preseason opponents. So we're going to get to see all that 15 years of head coaching acumen, Zach, which includes a lot of big games in full effect for the Broncos this year. And I think it's going to, as Todd's kind of predicting here, one of those items of wisdom that has certainly grown over the years in Payton are the adjustment side of things. And that's been one, for what it's worth, like the last few Broncos head coaches, Gary Kubiak was the last one that had any wherewithal in this side of things. Like Fangio could make some defensive in-game adjustments. I'll give him that. Okay. But from an overall macro sense, this is another aspect of the coaching game, Zach, that has just been incompetent in Denver.
Yeah, VJ, like you mentioned, he was good on the defensive side, but the offense was still a lost cause. Vic was way too stubborn and rigid to ever admit he was wrong or make changes, and it didn't come out on offense for sure. And Nathaniel Hackett was just an idiot, so he had no idea what was going on. But the in-game adjustments and what he was talking about with the coaching, we saw that in week 1 of the preseason against Arizona. The Broncos offense was kind of stuck in the mud to start. They were not looking very clean. They were kind of sloppy. And as the game went on and the adjustments took hold that Sean Payton made, even though it's preseason, they don't game plan. They're all into it. You saw the offense get better. And look what happened by the third preseason game. They won 41-0. That is going to be the X factor. Ultimately, Michael Ronquillo mentioned Jaleel McLaughlin. The biggest X factor is not anyone on the field. It's the visor on the sidelines. No Gilligan hats, pure visor. That's the difference. That's going to make the Broncos from a borderline playoff team, like an 8-win team, to a 10-win team this coming season.
Kendrick, by the way, before I read this, what is your Twitter handle so we can connect? Because I've tried to find you a couple times, and ever since some of the changes that have been made on X over the last 6 months, 12 months, whatever it's been, its search has been like a crap show. So tell us in the chat here what your handle is so we can be sure to connect with you, at least on the podcast side. Says, my guys, week 1, let's go. Zach, you asked on Twitter who will score the first touchdown. I say Samaje Perine. Unexpected, right? What say you guys? MHH for life, down go Raiders. So, Zach, it's not that far off from what our first off the cuff answer was. Both of us said Javonte. If they're playing it safe with him at all, like just a little bit, that's who stands to benefit out of the gates. It wouldn't surprise me at all if this prediction came true.
Yeah, absolutely, Kendrick. I don't think it's unexpected in the least if they have a long time-consuming drive, which I think they will. Javonte could need a break. It could be a different type of package, and Perine comes in and punches the ball. One thing about him, he's so good near the goal line. He's so good in the red zone because he's just such a bruiser. He's the reliable back that you go to. So I would definitely say a running back would get in, or like you said, Chad, maybe a naked bootleg or some Russell Wilson scramble to find pay dirt.
I'm trying to find Morgan Trinkets on Twitter from Pearl. I'm not seeing that one either, so I don't know. Okay. I see it here. At Kendrick Jared. All right. I'm going to find it real quick. Hang tight 1 sec. Stand by. Okay. Oh, I forgot that. Zach, I think we pretty much reached the end. Should we do our messages before we dip out?
Yes, sir. That was the MHH podcast, another terrific installment of the MHH podcast. If you're not doing so, follow us on Twitter at the MHH pod. You can follow the main account on Twitter at Mile High Huddle, Chad at Chad and Jensen, myself at Kelberman NFL, and Scott, our producer, at Scout Kennedy. If you guys want some merch, including Buckham merchandise, you know what it is, where it is. But if you haven't done so, be sure to check it out at mhhmerch.com. Also, drop us a like at facebook.com/Mile High Huddle Pod. If you're on Instagram, you can follow us at mile_high_huddle. And be sure on Apple Podcasts, if you partake, you're leaving your football priest a 5-star review for a chance to win some of that merch each and every single month. But if anything, guys and gals, subscribe, like, and share this video and every video you see on the MHH channel. It really helps us grow and reach more Broncos fans just like you.
Amen to that. We got to give a special shout out to the great Super Chat superstars and supporters tonight. We've got Michaela the Duchess. We've got Zeus McPeak. We've got David McElrath. We've got Steve Hale. We've got F.A., Kendrick, Ted, Denver Broncos for life, Lil Clips Gaming. We got Noah Thornberry also, who was a first time catching the show live. Super Chat. So rad. Did I miss anybody? Steve Hale. I'm not sure if I mentioned Steve Hale. And then on Facebook, we've got Michael Ronk, Miguel, Phil, Adrian, George, Mark McDonald. Much love and respect. Thank you guys so much. Hope you've enjoyed your Labor Day weekend. When next we see you guys, thank you, Mike. Love you, big dog. Thursday night, we'll be doing our head-to-heads. We'll be looking at Broncos Raiders. It's going to be dope. Enjoy the beginning of your week 1 leading in. Savor it. Let's go.
Yeah, we'll see you Thursday night to break down the head-to-head between the Broncos and the Raiders. Have a great start to your week. Take care. And as always, go Broncos.